I have face blindness. The system told me to capture the protagonist top, but it only gave me a photo and his pheromone scent before disappearing. After putting in all my effort to find him and finally getting him to marry me, the system suddenly reappeared. Seeing the husband beside me, the system blared a piercing alarm. I told you to capture the protagonist top. How did you end up with his brother? His brother is the biggest villain in this world. Chapter 1. When the system found me 3 years ago, I was fighting a wild dog for half a piece of bread. It said that as long as I successfully captured the protagonist top of this world, it would give me a huge sum of money. So I wouldn't have to go hungry anymore. I agreed. The system helped me undergo a secondary presentation into an Omega, cleaned me up, and changed me into new clothes. It gave me a photo of the protagonist top, told me his pheromones smelled like roses, and then vanished. It didn't even leave a name, though I felt it was unreliable. Touching my rumbling stomach and the newly formed scent gland on the back of my neck, I decided to take a gamble. But the world is so big. Finding someone based solely on a photo and a scent is like finding a needle in a haystack, especially since I have face blindness. Fortunately, the protagonist top was a celebrity. I held the photo and asked a passerby, who recognized him at a glance and kindly took me to his company. Looking up at the skyscraper towering into the clouds, I felt a bit intimidated. How could a beggar capture a big boss? What kind of people hasn't he seen? Why would he fancy me? But I was truly too hungry. I summoned my courage and walked in. The receptionist was very gentle and told me I couldn't see the big boss without an appointment. The courage I had just mustered instantly deflated. Suddenly, someone behind me called out, "Mr. Stewart." So the big boss's name was Stewart. I turned around and saw a face that looked no different from anyone else's to me. But my nose caught a faint scent of roses. It's him. The protagonist top I'm looking for. I hastily ran over. Before I could even get close, my vision went black, and I fainted. I had fainted from hunger. When I woke up staring at the snow-white ceiling, my brain was a bit foggy. "You're awake." An unfamiliar voice carried a hint of pleasant surprise. I turned my head to thank him. "Were you the one who brought me to the hospital?" "Thank you." Sitting up, I pursed my lips embarrassedly. "I don't have any money right now, but once I earn some, I will definitely pay you back." The man waved his hand. "Don't worry about the money. Mr. Stewart will reimburse it, and I even got a bonus for bringing you here." "Mr. Stewart?" "Yeah, when you suddenly fainted, you gave us quite a scare. Luckily, Mr. Stewart caught you in time, called an ambulance, and had me accompany you to the hospital." His words made me even more certain. Such a good person must be the protagonist top. But then I started to worry. I finally got to see him, so why did I have to faint? I sighed, blaming myself for fainting at the wrong time. The hospital room door was suddenly pushed open. I couldn't clearly see the face of the person who walked in, but his figure and clothes looked somewhat familiar. And there was that faint rose scent. "Mr. Stewart, why are you here?" My heartbeat violently accelerated. "It really is Stewart." Stewart looked at me, his eyes carrying some emotion I couldn't read. "Head back to the company first. I'll keep an eye on things here. Have the assistant transfer your bonus to you." "Understood. Thank you, Mr. Stewart." After the man left, Stewart sat down next to me. "Hello, I'm Stewart." I nervously pinched my fingers. Hello, my name is Gabriel. Thank you for today. I will pay you back the money, though it might take a while." Also, the protagonist top was right in front of me, but I didn't know what to say. I had absolutely no clue how to capture his heart. I couldn't exactly just say, "I want to capture you." Right? That would be too stupid. "There's no rush to pay back the money." Stewart took out his phone. "Do you know your family's contact information? I'll have them come to the hospital." I shook my head, my voice dropping low. "I don't have any family, and I don't have a home." "I'm sorry." I smiled at him. "It's okay. No need to apologize. I've been used to it for a long time. If you don't mind." Stewart's voice was gentle and pleasant to hear. "My butler is currently short an assistant. Would you be willing to give it a try?" This was only our second time meeting. Why was he being so good to me? I knew he definitely had an ulterior motive, but I had nothing besides this body anyway. Besides, I was here to capture his heart to begin with. So, I agreed without hesitation. Just like that, I was taken in by Stewart. He brought me back to his home, a super luxurious, massive villa. I didn't dare look openly, but I couldn't suppress my curiosity, so I could only keep my head down and sneak peeks. "Sir." The sudden voice startled me, and I hastily withdrew my gaze. I was looking so intently that I didn't even notice when another person had appeared. Stewart introduced us. "Gabby, this is Butler Marcus." Butler Marcus. This is Gabriel, the assistant I found for you. Yes, sir. Butler Marcus was a male beta. From now on, I would be his assistant. Stewart even set a salary for me, $50,000 a month. I stared in shock, my eyes wide. 50,000? That's too much, isn't it? How was I worthy of getting that much money? I would be grateful just to have a bite to eat. Butler Marcus chimed in. Sir has always been generous to his own people. Just work hard from now on, and that will be your way of repaying, sir. I nodded hastily. I will definitely work hard. Butler Marcus showed me around the villa and gave me a rough outline of my duties. It wasn't too difficult. I breathed a sigh of relief. Following what Butler Marcus said about Stewart's preferences, I cut some fruit, brewed coffee, and carried them toward the study. This should also count as capturing his heart, right? Being able to work for a salary while also completing my mission. Killing two birds with one stone. My steps became much lighter. I knocked on the door twice, and only pushed it open to enter after receiving permission. Sir, your fruit and coffee. Following Butler Marcus's lead, I also started using respectful titles. I set the things down and prepared to leave. Gabby. Yes, sir. With a smile on his lips, Stewart waved me over. Could you keep me company while I work for a bit? It's a little boring alone. Sure. I pulled up a stool and sat next to him. Stewart pushed the fruit in front of me and handed me a tablet. Do you know how to play with this? I shook my head. No, I don't know how to read. Chapter 2. I never went to school. As long as I can remember, I wandered the streets with my dad. Once, a kind-hearted person wanted to pay for my schooling, but my dad refused because begging with a child brought in more money. It wasn't until he passed away when I was 18 that I finally gained my freedom. But it was too late to start school at that age, and I had no money anyway. I started looking for a job, but because of long-term malnutrition, I was too thin and weak. No one wanted me for heavy manual labor. Since I couldn't read, no one wanted me for the easier jobs either. When I finally managed to find a job, I was fired because my severe face blindness meant I could never recognize people. With no other choice, I had to go back to begging. But I wasn't as thick-skinned as my dad, and being young and seemingly healthy made it very hard to get any money. After starving for 3 days, I couldn't take it anymore and fought a wild dog for food. That was when the system appeared and told me to capture the protagonist's top. Even though the system was unreliable, thanks to it, I was able to meet someone as wonderful as Stewart. I'll find some videos for you to learn from first, and later I'll get you a tutor, Stewart said as he walked toward me. I held the tablet while he leaned over to operate the screen. The distance was too close. The rose scent on him grew richer. My heartbeat sped up, and I felt the scent gland on the back of my neck growing hot. The air seemed to carry the scent of green plum wine, just like the one I had smelled in the kitchen earlier. Butler Marcus had mentioned that this was Stewart's favorite wine. Could it be that he was secretly drinking in the study? Before I could figure it out, Stewart suddenly stood up straight, his face flushed. I blinked in confusion. Sir. He silently took out something and handed it to me. What is this? A suppressant patch. It turned out that the green plum wine was the scent of my own pheromones. I had only recently undergone a secondary presentation from a beta to an omega, so I wasn't very familiar with these physiological changes yet. So when an omega experiences massive emotional fluctuations, their pheromones leak out uncontrollably? But isn't pheromone leakage completely normal? I could usually smell the faint scents on other alphas and omegas too, just not as strong as this. Looking at Stewart's reddened ear tips, I suddenly understood. They were probably influenced by their own pheromones long-term, which is why they always carried a scent on their bodies. Didn't that mean I would also carry the scent of green plum wine from now on? Stewart's favorite scent. At that thought, my heart beat even faster. The scent of green plum wine grew thicker and thicker. I started to feel dizzy, and my vision of Stewart doubled. His face continuously magnified before my eyes. It was as if he was going to kiss me. I widened my eyes. If he really kissed me, did that mean the capture was successful? In my dizzy brain, I felt both shy and expectant. Stewart didn't kiss me. He merely helped me put on the suppressant patch. The ice-cold suppressant patch stuck to my scent gland, and the heat immediately went down. Stewart then opened the window for ventilation, and the scent of green plum wine gradually faded. But I was still very dizzy. An uncertain voice came from above my head, carrying a hint of hoarseness. Drunk! I got drunk on my own pheromones? It was a bit comical, but I really was dizzy and weak in the knees, seeing double of everyone. So I faced the blurry shadow in front of me and nodded vigorously. Drunk. Stuart sighed, sounding a bit helpless. That sigh cleared my muddled brain for a second. I was originally supposed to keep him company while he worked, but now I had interrupted him. I seemed to have messed up again. Would he want to fire me? At the thought of possibly being kicked out, I was so scared I immediately stood up to apologize. Sir, I'm sorry. What are you apologizing for? No need to apologize. Stuart patted my head, his tone as gentle as coaxing a child. Since you're drunk, go get some sleep. You'll be fine when you wake up. I can't remember what happened after that. When I woke up, it was already dark outside the window. Sunk into the soft blanket, I thought of Stuart's gentle demeanor. My heart raced and I couldn't help but roll around on the bed a few times. Such a wonderful person is my capture target. I smiled foolishly, looking forward to every future meeting with him. Gabby, are you awake? It's time to eat. Awake. I quickly scrambled out of bed. Opening the door, I saw the person I had been longing for. Even though I couldn't see his face clearly, I had memorized his figure, his voice, and the scent of his pheromones in my heart. I smiled at him and said, "Good evening, sir." "Good evening, Gabby." Stuart responded earnestly. "Are you still feeling unwell anywhere?" "No, I feel great now." I followed him to the dining table and naturally sat down next to him. Looking up, I saw Butler Marcus standing behind him. It seemed I shouldn't be sitting here. I tried to stand up, but Stuart pressed me down. "Butler Marcus is going to eat soon too. Stay and keep me company. Otherwise it'll be too lonely for me all by myself." I sat down with peace of mind. From that day on, I gained another job keeping Stuart company during meals. Chapter 3. Stuart found a tutor for me. Now every day, apart from following Butler Marcus around to do chores, I study with my tutor. Every day when Stuart comes home from work, he checks my homework. If I study well, he brings back a cake the next day, a different flavor every time. I love all of them. Occasionally, when Stuart works in the study, he prepares fruit and milk, letting me play on the tablet to keep him company. After putting on the suppressant patch, my pheromones never leaked out again. Days passed peacefully, but I didn't know how my capture progress with Stuart was going. Besides, I thought about it for a long time, but I couldn't understand what he wanted from me. At first, I thought he was after my body just like the people I had met before. I didn't know what I looked like, but I definitely wasn't ugly. When we were beggars, if my dad occasionally made some money and was in a good mood, he would take me to get cleaned up and put me in new clothes. Once, we were stopped by a few men. They looked me up and down, their gazes disgusting and sticky. They offered my dad a lot of money to take me with them, but my dad refused. My dad said those people were just after my body and told me to stay far away from them. He looked at my face, sighed, and grabbed a handful of ash to smear on it. After that, I never washed clean again, nor did I have any new clothes. But Stuart was different. The way he looked at me was clean and pure. He was always good to me, gentle and patient, yet his words and actions were always measured, never crossing the boundaries that should exist between an alpha and an omega. He treated me more like he was taking care of a child. I couldn't figure out what he was thinking, but I started getting greedy. I wanted to go a step further with Stuart. Stuart bought me a new phone, and I learned many capture strategies on it. At night, I changed into a newly bought black lace nightgown, sneaked into Stuart's room while he was showering, and lay on his bed in a pose I learned online. When Stuart came out and saw me, he froze. I was very nervous, yet hopeful that he would like it. "Why are you dressed like this? Who taught you to do this?" His angry voice made me freeze instantly. Stuart didn't like this. He was angry. For the first time since we met, he lost his temper at me. I was a little scared, but mostly I felt wronged. Tears welled up uncontrollably. When I was little, I cried often so people would think I was pitiful and give my dad a lot of money. When I grew up, this trick stopped working, so I never cried again because no one would feel sorry for me even if I did. I wiped my tears, got out of bed, walked over to Stuart, and carefully tugged at the corner of his clothes. When I spoke, my voice choked with sobs. "Sir, do you hate me?" If he hated me, where else could I go? I heard Stuart sigh, just like when I made mistakes and apologized in the past, carrying a sense of helplessness. My tears disappointingly welled up again, unstoppable. Stuart reached out, his fingertips carrying the warmth of his recent shower, and wiped away my tears. His voice softened, as if afraid of startling me. "How could I hate you? I never will. It's just that an omega can't casually do this kind of thing to an alpha. Do you understand?" I nodded, then shook my head. "I know, but I only did it because I like you, sir." I lowered my head, not daring to look at his expression. "Sir always treats me like a child. I don't want that. I want to develop a deeper relationship with sir. I took a deep breath, looked up into his eyes and asked, "Why are you so good to me, sir? Do you like me too?" Stuart's eyes once again revealed that emotion I couldn't read. He didn't answer, and I didn't leave, stubbornly holding his gaze. After a long time, he cupped my face and gently kissed my eyes. "I love you. I have since a long time ago." Stuart responded to me. He likes me too. I felt like my heart was going to explode. My scent glands started to burn again, and my pheromones rushed out uncontrollably. The scent of green plum wine quickly filled the entire bedroom. I saw the undisguised obsession in Stuart's eyes. He asked hoarsely, "Gabby, will you regret it?" "As long as it's you, sir, I will never regret it." I threw my arms around his neck and kissed him. "Mark me, okay?" After I spoke, the scent of roses instantly surrounded me. So tired. I can't remember how many times I passed out, nor do I know how much time had passed. Every time I opened my eyes, everything in front of me was swaying, without a moment of peace. It turns out that even someone as gentle as Stuart has such an out-of-control side. Chapter 4. 7 days later, the marking finally ended. I lay paralyzed in bed, my entire body so sore I didn't want to move, my mind still a bit fuzzy. The two pheromones on my body mixed together, becoming the scent of rose and green plum wine. Stuart walked in carrying a bowl of porridge. As soon as I saw him, I subconsciously wanted to hide, but in my current state, even shifting a little was difficult. He easily pulled me into his arms and fed me the porridge bite by bite. After finishing the whole bowl, I started feeling sleepy again. Stuart kissed my cheek. "Go to sleep." He got up to leave, but I grabbed the corner of his clothes. I looked at him. "Sir, can you sleep with me?" Stuart didn't hesitate. He put down the bowl and got under the covers. We embraced and caught some more sleep. I was still Butler Marcus's assistant. It was just that sometimes, when I messed around with Stuart too late the night before, I wouldn't be able to get up for work until noon the next day. Today, I slowly crawled out of bed, washed up, and went downstairs, only to see a familiar figure sitting on the sofa. I instantly perked up and walked over quickly. "Sir, why are you back so early?" Stuart had told me to stop using respectful titles, but I was used to it and couldn't change. He didn't force it, letting me do as I pleased. The person on the sofa turned his head. I instantly stopped in my tracks. This person's figure was very similar to Stuart's, and even his pheromones carried the scent of roses. But he wasn't Stuart. "Who are you?" "So you're my brother's Omega? Not bad looking. Brother-in-law, don't stay silent. Tell me how you hooked up with my brother. Did you rely on this face?" This person was Stuart's twin brother, Zachary. I had heard of him before, but I didn't expect to meet him so suddenly. I thought that even if Stuart's twin brother had a different personality, he wouldn't be too bad. I never expected him to be so obnoxious. With Stuart away, logically I should entertain Zachary well. This was also my job as Butler Marcus's assistant. But I inexplicably felt a strong aversion to this person and didn't want to talk to him at all. I took 2 steps back, planning to hide in my room and wait for Stuart to come back. Zachary suddenly walked over and tried to grab my arm, but I dodged him. I glared at him. "What are you doing?" "Brother-in-law, don't be afraid of me. I'll be sad." "Psycho." Zachary took another step forward, a frivolous smile on his face. "I don't know why, but the moment I saw you, brother-in-law, I liked you. Anyway, I look exactly the same as my brother, and my pheromones are the same. Why don't you try it with me? It'll definitely be more exciting than being with my brother." The hairs all over my body stood up, and my stomach churned. How could there be such a disgusting person? He reached out to touch me again, but was stopped by Butler Marcus, who appeared just in time. "Young Master Zachary, please conduct yourself with dignity. A mere butler dares to meddle in my affairs." Butler Marcus ignored him, turning to say to me, "Young Master Gabriel, I've already called sir. He'll be back soon. You can go back to your room and wait for him." I shook my head. "I think I'll go to the kitchen and see what's for lunch today." Eating an egg tart in the kitchen, my bad mood from being harassed by Zachary improved a lot. Not long after, Stuart messaged saying he was home. I quickly ran out and threw myself into his arms, telling him everything Zachary had said and his attempts to get handsy. Stuart's face instantly darkened. He raised a hand and gently patted my back, his tone apologetic. "I'm sorry you were wronged. Stuart told me to eat first, saying he needed to talk to Zachary alone. I don't know what they talked about, but when Zachary came to apologize later, his face was bruised and swollen, though his attitude was quite sincere. I didn't see him again for a long time after that, and even if I did, he was like a mouse seeing a cat, obediently calling out brother-in-law before quickly scurrying away. However, Stuart was also injured, which broke my heart. I told him not to be so impulsive and fight people in the future so he wouldn't get hurt. Stuart looked at me with sparkling eyes, rubbed his nose against my cheek, and said, "He'll never dare come looking for you again." At that moment, a sudden surge of sourness welled up in my heart, accompanied by a feeling of relief. Chapter 5. December 17th is my birthday. But I had never celebrated a birthday before, so I never remembered the date. When midnight struck and Stuart softly said "Happy birthday" in my ear, I was still a bit groggy. Is it my birthday today? Yes. When the sun comes up, we'll go to the amusement park. Okay. This filled even my dreams with anticipation. Stuart had taken me to the amusement park a few times before, but this time felt a little different. I didn't overthink it and had a great time playing with Stuart. The sky gradually darkened, and the surrounding lights flickered on one by one. Stuart held my hand. Although the weather was a bit cold, his hand was always very warm. Want to go look over there? He pointed to a wishing pool surrounded by string lights. It was brighter there than anywhere else, and the water's surface reflected the swaying spots of light, looking like a pool scattered with crushed diamonds. I followed him over. Just as we stood still, a gentle piece of music suddenly started playing behind us. Stuart let go of my hand and went down on one knee, holding a velvet box. The brilliance of the diamond ring reflected in his eyes, shining brighter than all the surrounding lights. Stuart was proposing to me. This was a scene I had dreamed of many times, and now it was actually coming true. I stared blankly at the diamond ring until Stuart's fingertips gently brushed the back of my hand, abruptly bringing me back to reality. "Baby, are you willing?" "I do," I answered loudly, my voice ringing out even louder than I had imagined. I thought that was the end of it, but I didn't expect that upon returning home, there would be a meticulously prepared birthday cake waiting for me. Stuart put a birthday hat on my head. I felt that he had made this birthday hat with his own hands too, and I decided I was going to treasure it properly. After lighting the candles, it was time to make a wish. I wished to always be together with Stuart, never to be separated. At the moment I blew out the candles, out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of what seemed to be a dark mark on Stuart's wrist. I paused for a moment, then reached up and turned on the overhead light. Under the bright light, I clearly saw the tattoo on Stuart's wrist. It was my name, Gabriel. I gently traced it with my fingertips, looking up to ask him, "Sir, when did you get this tattooed?" He looked down and smiled, his thumb rubbing the back of my hand. "In the early hours of the morning, while you were asleep." I thought to myself, no one else in this world will ever love me more than Stuart does. I was 20 years old, but the legal age for marriage was 22. We had to wait another 2 years. However, my current dynamic with Stuart was no different from being married. So, 2 years wasn't too long for us. To me, it felt like the blink of an eye. During this time, the system never appeared, and I had almost forgotten about it. But just as the officiant asked me if I took this man to be my husband, the system suddenly appeared. "Host, I'm back. Sorry, my programming had a little glitch, which is why I disappeared for so long. How is your capture mission coming along?" I looked into Stuart's eyes, solemnly said the words "I do," and only then replied to the system, "I've already married the protagonist top." The system set off fireworks in my mind. As expected of the host I chose, even without my help, you completed the mission so quickly. But when it saw the person I was marrying, it suddenly let out a piercing alarm. "Wait, that's wrong. I told you to capture the protagonist top. How did you end up capturing his brother?" "Huh? His brother is the biggest villain in this world. How could you capture him?" I remained silent for a moment, then asked, "Are you saying Zachary is the protagonist top, and Stuart is the big villain?" "Yes, obviously. Who else?" I thought of the gentle and considerate Stuart, and then of Zachary, who acted like a hooligan the very first time we met. I felt the system must have made a mistake. I stopped paying attention to the system's yelling and focused entirely on my wedding with Stuart. No matter what it was, nothing could stop us from being together. Stuart and I were already married, but the system still wouldn't give up, insisting I go capture Zachary. Even if it develops into a brother-in-law relationship, it doesn't matter. In short, you must capture Zachary. I was very confused. Why does it have to be Zachary? The system hesitated for a moment, then finally confessed. "All right, I'll tell you the truth. You are the protagonist bottom of this world, destined to be with the protagonist top." The system said that even without its intervention, I would have undergone a secondary presentation into an omega. A beggar suddenly turning into an omega, even covered in dirt, would easily encounter danger. but a kind-hearted person saved me and left me a large sum of money. I didn't know who he was. I only remembered he had rose-scented pheromones. Later, I encountered Zachary, who was injured from a fight and unconscious. His pheromones also smelled like roses. I knew he wasn't my savior, but because of that familiar scent, I felt compassion and saved him. As a result, I became entangled with him. The system said we would unfold a deeply agonizing, abusive romance. But I felt the system was wrong. Even for an abusive romance, both sides must have feelings for each other. But I didn't like Zachary at all. It was him who constantly pestered, hurt, and humiliated me. Later, I met Zachary's twin brother, Stuart. I recognized that he was my true savior. He rescued me from Zachary's hands once again. I started interacting with Stuart frequently. Zachary said I was betraying him, and the system also said I was approaching Stuart just to make Zachary jealous. But I genuinely liked Stuart. It wasn't at all like what they said. In the end, I was tortured to the point of a breakdown by Zachary and chose to jump off a building. At that time, Stuart had come looking for me holding a bouquet of roses, and I fell straight down right in front of him. He must have come to confess his love to me, but instead, I died right before his eyes. I didn't know how he felt at that moment. He must have been incredibly devastated. I cried until I was out of breath, finding it hard to even breathe. Chapter 6. The system continued. After you died, Zachary regretted it endlessly. He couldn't sleep at night, hugging your photo and missing you. He cleanly cut off all those messy omegas and betas around him, vowing to stay chaste for you for the rest of his life. Unexpectedly, Stuart, that big villain, went completely mad because of your death and dragged Zachary down to perish together with him. With the protagonist top dead, the small world couldn't continue running. That's why I bound you to do the capture mission. I cried and retorted. Stuart and I were the ones who truly loved each other. Zachary tortured me like that. He's the real big villain. Even if I captured Zachary with his personality, he would still torture me. I would eventually jump off the building anyway, and Stuart would definitely avenge me. How is that possible? With me here, I absolutely wouldn't let you come into contact with Stuart. He wouldn't like you, and even if you died, he wouldn't perish together with Zachary. As long as the protagonist top doesn't die, the small world can keep running. Wait, how is Stuart reborn? How could this small world have such a massive bug? Reborn. My legs went weak, and I almost collapsed to the floor. Reborn. No wonder Stuart sometimes looked at me with emotions I couldn't quite understand. It turned out he had already experienced the plot the system mentioned, and had even watched me die right in front of him with his own eyes. I need to go find him. I ran and said to the system, I won't go capture Zachary. You promised to give me a lot of money for completing the mission, but I don't need it anymore. The system seemed so struck by the fact that Stuart was reborn that it completely threw in the towel. Fine, whatever you want. Since things have already come to this, it doesn't matter anymore. Stuart was at work today, so I had butler Marcus drive me to his company. The people in the company all knew me by now, and they smiled and greeted me when they saw me. Although I still couldn't recognize their faces, I knew who they were by their figures and voices. But I was in a hurry to see Stuart today, so I didn't stop to chat. Stuart was still in a meeting, so I waited in his office. Holy crap, the system suddenly exclaimed. What's wrong? Holy crap, holy crap, holy crap. I thought the mission had failed, but why does it show as successful? It even unlocked the both protagonists survive achievement, doubling the points. Ahahaha. As expected of the host chosen by the system, your mission completion is just fantastic. Thank you for giving me a new idea for completing missions. Before I leave, I'll give you a gift. No need to thank me too much. The system left. I breathed a sigh of relief. My life could finally return to peace. I didn't care what gift the system gave me. As long as it didn't bother me anymore, that was the best gift of all. Before Stuart came in, I genuinely thought this way. But I really didn't expect the system to give me such a massive surprise. Cured my face blindness. I could see Stuart's face clearly. I didn't know how to describe good-looking, because for the past 22 years, everyone looked exactly the same to me. But I felt that Stuart was the best-looking of all. When he looked at me gently, my heart trembled along with it. Stuart! I excitedly threw myself into his arms, sharing this good news with him. I also told him about the system, and that I knew he was reborn. I took his hand, our fingers intertwining tightly. From now on, no one can ever separate us again. Chapter 7. I'm gonna start learning how to drive. Ever since I found out Stuart was reborn, I became even clingier to him, wishing I could stay by his side every single moment. But he often tosses me around so much that I can't get out of bed, and I can't exactly have him carry me into the company. Although I could have butler Marcus or the driver take me, after thinking about it, it's just more convenient to drive myself. For a period after getting my driver's license, I was very interested in driving. I even had the driver work mornings and take the afternoons off so I could act as Stuart's exclusive driver. It wasn't until my Heat and Stuart's susceptible period arrived at the same time, keeping us stuck at home for half a month, that Stuart suggested I go to the company to be his personal secretary. That finally ended the driver's vacation. But being a personal secretary wasn't an easy job either, because the boss never focused on his work and was always getting handsy with me. He sat behind his desk reviewing documents. I had just handed him a cup of coffee when he grabbed my wrist, pulling me smoothly onto his lap. His chin rubbed against the crook of my neck, his breath so hot it made my skin go numb. Stuart always says I've learned to be bad, but actually he's much worse than I am. He used to be a perfect gentleman, but now he's simply a beast in a suit. I remember the first time I wore a black lace dress to see him, he even scolded me. But now, the clothes he buys me are flashier than the last. And then there are those messy little toys. Sitting on Stuart's lap, I secretly placed an order for some little props on my phone while he was focused on work. I've studied binding techniques for a long time. I refused to believe I can't outplay him, but facts proved that I really couldn't outplay him. The alpha effortlessly snatched the rope from my hands and tied my wrists together, leaving me no choice but to give up struggling. Forget it. I'll just lie flat and let him do whatever he wants. If you enjoyed this story, remember to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.